Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest boxers of all time, and he is a very good boxer to learn from because of his unique style and very good boxing skill. He had a record of 50 wins and 0 loss, which is one of the best records in boxing. In this video, we will take a good look at what made Floyd so good in the ring and a few things you can learn from it in order to improve at boxing. The first thing that made Floyd so good at boxing was his unique boxing stance. Floyd was an orthodox fighter, but he used the Philly shell boxing stance, which is a rare boxing stance. To perform the Philly shell boxing stance, you need to protect your body with your lead hand, while using your shoulder to deflect punches coming at you and using your rear hand to protect your face from fast punches and using it for counterpunching. A great use of the Philly shell can be a quick shoulder roll and then a counterpunch. If you watch this clip, you can see Floyd using a shoulder roll to avoid damage from a punch, and then he proceeds to use a counterpunch when his opponent opens himself for a bit. This was something Floyd did very often to win a lot of his fights, and it is very unpredictable. The Philly shell stance gives you a good defense, and it is quite rare, so a lot of your opponents will not be used to fighting someone who uses it, which makes it really good for professional boxing. But this defensive stance is really hard to master since you will need a very good coach who is good at teaching it to you. Let's cover a few things that you need in order to use this boxing stance well in a fight. The first thing is good timing. Good timing is a crucial part of this boxing stance. Floyd utilized it to his advantage since he knew when to punch and when to use shoulder roll or high guard. You also need to use counter punches at the right time, because if you miss a counter punch using this boxing stance, you have a really high chance of getting hit by a hook. You can see this picture of Manny versus Floyd and see that a short delay can result in your opponent landing a blow. And even a second delay can open up your guard, and Floyd did a very good job by mastering the art of timing. The next thing is keeping your guard up after every move you make. The Philly shell boxing stance can be vulnerable, especially against someone with good speed, so Floyd made sure to keep his guard up after a counterpunch. Defensive genius. Floyd was a defensive genius and likely had the best defense out of all the boxers in the world. His defense primarily consisted of good head movement, good positioning, and shoulder rolls. A very important part of Floyd's defense was his ability to anticipate punches and react quickly, and mitt work certainly helped him to improve it. Now let's take a look at his head movement and shoulder rolls, which were two of the most important things for his defense. Floyd primarily used shoulder rolls to take less damage from punches while using his head movement. As you can see here, Canelo attempted to hit Floyd. Even though he missed Floyd's, shoulder roll would have protected him from a lot of the damage, and we know very well that Canelo's has a powerful punch. Floyd's head movement was very good and precise. He did not make mistakes like slipping in the wrong directions in intense situations. As you can see, he often used his footwork to fall back while leaning back using his body and head movement. He was also very unpredictable, which made it hard for his opponents. Accuracy. Floyd has one of the most accurate punches in boxing, since he spent countless hours sparring and working on the heavy bag. Floyd's accuracy was a very important thing that led to his success in the ring, because he did win a lot of his fights by a split decision and he rarely missed punches. If you are a boxer who wants to go professional and you have bad punching power or speed, you should focus on improving your accuracy, since it has no genetic factor involved, and it is built through training drills like mitt work, partner drills, or sparring. I'm pretty sure that is what Floyd did too. Accuracy takes time to master, and since Floyd was good at anticipating his opponents, it made his accuracy even better since he could know where his opponent would move and when to hit him. Ring intelligence. Floyd was one of the smartest boxers in the ring, and he knew how to trick his opponents and use different situations to his advantage. He fought many world champions and was able to defeat them, and his ring intelligence played a crucial role in it. The way he fights is kinda simple to understand. He falls back while using his guard and counterpunching, and when his opponent slows down, he hits them with power shots with good precision, and most of the time his opponents get tired of charging in and not being able to hit him. Of course, he wasn't always like this, but he developed his ring intelligence over time by gaining more experience. One thing that stood out in Floyd's boxing ability was his exceptional jabs. Floyd used his jabs to create chances by opening up his opponent and to set up a counterpunch. He also used jabs to buy time by slowing down his opponent in a fight. You can see how Floyd practices his jabs on a heavy bag. A common thing most boxers do while using a jab is keeping their hands slightly open and closing their hands when they reach closer to their target. It helps them improve the speed of the jab. Jabs can be used for many other situations, but Floyd mainly used it for those two. Distance control and positioning. Floyd's ability to position himself in the right places in the ring gave him a massive advantage. He knew how to position himself in different situations. The main thing he did was stay around the center of the ring. He did get pushed to the corners many times, but he always had ways to get out of it, like counter punches or jabs, and his defense would help him get out of most situations. Now let's move on to his ability to control the distance between him and his opponent. Floyd made sure to maintain good distance in his fights. Usually the Philly shell has a few disadvantages in close range, so he used to keep his opponents away. In this clip, you can see Floyd using a counterpunch to damage his opponent so he can fall back. Speed and reflexes. Floyd had exceptional speed and reflexes which helped him to defend himself and counter his opponents quickly. Floyd's speed was built through training drills like mitt work and shadow boxing with dumbbells. You can see Floyd often shadow boxing with light dumbbells in his boxing gym, as shown in the video. His speed was something that set him apart from most boxers since he was able to keep up and dominate in fights against people like Manny, Oscar, and Canelo, who were all pretty fast boxers. He wasn't the fastest boxer in the world, but certainly was fast enough to be one of the fastest in his weight class. Footwork. Floyd's footwork was simple and efficient. It wasn't anything complicated. He was good at falling back or closing in, and overall, he had great balance which prevented him from getting knocked down. Floyd used the orthodox stance, so it isn't much different than an average professional boxer. He was just slightly better in terms of speed and agility, and had good balance. He did have good balance of weight in his feet, so he could punch harder. Counterpunching. Counterpunches are one of the most effective ways to knock down your opponent, and Floyd was really good at it. As you can see, Floyd's opponent made a mistake by dropping his guard and moving his hands towards Floyd, and Floyd used that opportunity to land a clean counterpunch. Another type of counterpunch he usually did was using a shoulder roll to stop his opponent's punch, and that creates a very small time frame where the opponent is open, and he used his fast hands to land a blow, as you can see when Floyd fought Canelo. To keep it simple, he often used shoulder rolls and came back with a cross when his opponent was slightly open. Counterpunching requires a mix of speed, reflex timing, and accuracy, and Floyd had all of them, so he was good at it. Experience. Floyd's experience played a very important role in his fight, since he developed his technique and speed through training for multiple years. Experience also helped him build ring intelligence, and we all know that anyone who trains at a certain sport for multiple years gets good at it, no matter where they started from. Stamina. Floyd's stamina was unmatched since he was able to go 12 rounds against many world champs without gassing out or being inconsistent. Road work was a very crucial part of Floyd's training, and it helped him build stamina over time. He could run over 10 miles, and he spent a lot of hours running. Even sparring and interval training are common things most boxers do in order to improve their stamina. A thing that helped him maintain good stamina throughout his fights was the ability to control the pacing of the fight. He would hold back for a good amount of time while using jabs to slow down his opponents, giving his body time to recover, and when he felt better he would charge in, and he did it throughout most of his fights, and it worked really well. He also exhausted his opponents since his opponents would throw a lot of punches at him, but it would miss. So in simple words, if you're a boxer who is trying to improve your stamina, start off by running a few times a week and try to incorporate interval training like sprints or bag work, and do sparring 1 or 2 times a week. The main thing is just pushing yourself, and every world champion did that. Pushing yourself to keep hitting the heavy bag when you're tired might be the best way since your body will start to adapt to high-intensity tasks. Dedication and training. Floyd's dedication to the sport and his consistency with his training played a major role in his boxing career. Floyd trained for multiple decades while being consistent. He was certainly flashy and looked like he was partying all the time, but he made sure to not let it impact his boxing training. Many boxers fall off once they gain money and fame, but Floyd kept on getting better. He trained multiple times a day. He spent most of his time at the boxing gym, and even Mike Tyson praised him for his hard work. There were a lot of boxers in his weight division at the time, but he was able to defeat most of them, and his dedication to the sport gave him an advantage over the others. Not to mention that most boxers start to hate boxing after a few years of their career since it is repetitive. You wake up, go to the boxing gym, and do the same training drills all over again. If you train for around 2 years, you should know that boxing can get boring after a certain point, but there are some people who never get tired of it, so they just perform better, and Floyd might be one of them.